Imagine you are standing in your kitchen, making a simple pot of chicken soup.
Right.
You're chopping carrots, waiting for the water to boil, maybe stirring the pot, while simultaneously fuming over a totally frustrating email you just got from your boss.
We have all definitely been there.
Yeah, exactly. But what if I told you that, according to ancient traditions, you aren't just making dinner, you are literally brewing a dangerous potion?
Which sounds wild, I know.
It does. And that frustration you're feeling, it's actually being encoded right into the broth. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are exploring a truly fascinating set of research centered around this core premise, which is a text titled "Holy Potions Are Dangerous," on sacred substances, high vibrational nourishment, and the risk of the real.
It's a fantastic text.
It really is. And our mission today is to look at how the totally everyday, mundane act of preparing food is actually an ancient form of alchemy. Okay, let's unpack this, because I think we throw around a lot of buzzwords today, like, good vibes or raising your frequency.
Totally. We really do.
Right. But we do it without realizing the profound weight those concepts actually carry.
Yeah, you see those phrases on bumper stickers and T-shirts, and they have just become this ambient wellness vocabulary. But we very rarely pause to consider the actual mechanics of what it literally means to take a wholly, intentionally prepared substance into your physical body.
Because it's physical. Right.
Exactly. When you eat or drink something, you are letting it become a part of you. You are incorporating it into your cellular structure. The core argument we're looking at today is that if a substance is carrying a specific, highly charged intention, you aren't just absorbing vitamins and minerals.
Right.
You are absorbing a frequency.
Which naturally brings us to the first major hurdle for me anyway. Because when I hear the phrase dangerous potion, my mind immediately goes straight to fairy tales.
Like the poisoned apple.
Yes, exactly. The poisoned apple or the toxic, like glowing green brew bubbling in a witch's cauldron. But the research is very clear that the danger here has absolutely nothing to do with toxicity.
No, not at all.
So it's not poison.
Right. The danger is its potency. It is highly, highly concentrated. I mean, think about all the psychological defenses you walk around with every day.
Oh, a lot of them.
We all do. The rationalizations, the little walls you build to keep yourself functioning in a highly stressful world, those are your mind's filters.
Right.
A truly sacred substance, something prepared with intense, focused consciousness, it doesn't knock politely on the front door of your intellect. It slips right past all those psychological defenses. It's described in our sources as a delivery system for truth.
I love that phrase, delivery system for truth, but I have to push back here immediately. Let's look at the actual biology.
Okay.
Soup is digested in the stomach, not the brain.
Right.
So how exactly does digesting a potato or, a bowl of broth bypass my psychological defenses? Like, how does eating a meal suddenly make me realize I need to quit my job or confront a reality I've been avoiding?
Well, what's fascinating here is the connection between the gut and the nervous system. Science increasingly refers to the gut as the second brain.
Oh, because of the enteric nervous system.
Exactly, because of the enteric nervous system. So when you consume a meal, your body doesn't just receive physical instructions like metabolize this protein or store this carbohydrate.
Okay.
According to this framework, a sacred substance carries energetic and spiritual instruction that interfaces directly with your nervous system.
Wow.
So when a potion is prepared with deep, grounded truth and you ingest it, it forces your own nervous system to attempt to co-regulate with that profound state of grounding.
It makes me think of my computer. It's like downloading a massive software update directly into the core operating system.
Yes.
It totally bypasses the firewall, ignores the antivirus software, and the raw data just goes straight to the motherboard.
That is the perfect analogy. And when that raw data hits the motherboard, it reveals all the bugs in your current system.
Yeah.
Right. If you are living a life that is fundamentally out of alignment, maybe you are in the wrong career, if you're clinging to a toxic relationship, or you are holding on to a deep resentment, that subtle influx of grounding feels like a massive threat to your ego.
Because you can't hide from it anymore.
Exactly. Truth is terrifying when your daily life is built on a foundation of polite fictions.
So the potion isn't hurting you at all. It's just revealing you to yourself.
Precisely. That is the seismic shift. It reorganizes your internal landscape in a way that is incredibly disruptive to your status quo. The danger is simply the risk of encountering the real.
Okay, if the gut is absorbing this profound truth, the terrifying realization is that someone had to put that truth into the bowl in the first place.
Right.
which moves us from the effect of the potion right into the actual act of its preparation.
Yeah.
Every culture across the globe has some version of the sacred vessel, right? The cauldron as a piece of sacred technology.
Yes. Whether it's a cast iron cauldron, a silver chalice, or just, a ceramic pot on an electric stove.
Yeah.
The common denominator across these traditions is the understanding that what goes inside that vessel is fundamentally transformed by the act of preparation.
Now, the authors argue that a cook who is stirring a pot with love isn't just flavoring the food, they're literally encoding it.
Yes.
They use the example of a shaman singing over a brew. And I want to get into the mechanics of this. How does an emotion like love or the sound of a song actually bind to a physical ingredient like water or a carrot?
Well, if we look at the intersection of ancient mysticism and emerging physics, we find some compelling explanations. Take the concept of cymatics, for instance.
Cymatics, okay.
This is the study of visible sound. We know that sound waves traveling through a medium
Gentle water.
like water, yeah, they actually organize the molecules into complex geometric patterns. The physical structure of the water changes based on the frequency of the sound.
That's incredible.
It is. Since a soup or a brew is primarily liquid, singing over it or speaking specific intentions into it is physically altering the geometric arrangement of the molecules you are about to drink.
So it's not just a theatrical performance for the people watching. The vibration is literally changing the architecture of the meal.
Exactly. And beyond sound, there is the concept of the observer effect in quantum mechanics, which suggests that the focused attention of an observer alters the state of what is being observed.
Right, the whole double slit experiment thing.
Exactly. Mystics have known this for millennia. Attention is not neutral. The emotional quality of your focus, whether it's deep reverence or, frantic anxiety, creates an electromagnetic field that interacts with the material you are preparing.
Which means the person making the potion literally becomes an ingredient.
They do.
Their energy goes right into the vessel. And here's where it gets really interesting and honestly a little bit panic-inducing for me,
Oh.
because we've all been there. What if the barista making my morning coffee is incredibly stressed out? Maybe they are running late on rent, they just had a fight with their partner, and they are having an absolutely terrible day. Am I literally drinking their unexamined trauma? Am I starting my day by ingesting a venti cup of anxiety?
It's a completely fair question, and it's exactly where everyone's mind goes when they first encounter this concept. Are you drinking their trauma? The nuanced answer is, well, yes and no.
Okay, thank God for the no part.
Yeah, so your gut does detect the erratic energy and the stress that went into that preparation, but assuming you are relatively healthy, your own psychological firewall is usually robust enough to process ambient, everyday stress.
Oh, that makes sense.
Your body can filter out a barista's bad morning, just like your immune system filters out everyday germs.
Okay, so I don't need to develop a phobia of going to a restaurant or a coffee shop.
Right. Where it becomes dangerous or highly potent is when you are specifically opening yourself up to a ritual, or when the concentration of that shadow is profound. The real takeaway from the research isn't to live in fear of other people's cooking. It's a call to take the act of preparation seriously when you are the one doing it.
It's about taking responsibility for your own output. You have to realize that when you stand at your stove, you aren't just cooking, you are transmitting.
Exactly. It's an invitation to arrive at your own cauldron conscious. Before you begin mixing elements together that your family is going to take into their bodies, you have to check your own state of mind.
Yeah.
Are you pouring your unexamined wounding into the family dinner?
Wow. I can breathe a little easier knowing my morning coffee won't inherently ruin my life, but it definitely makes me want to take a few deep breaths before I start chopping vegetables for dinner.
Definitely.
So we've established that the cook's consciousness goes into the pot. But what about the ingredients themselves? And what about the actual physical space where the cooking is happening?
This is huge.
Because the research dives deep into the geography of alchemy. It talks about high vibrational spots and the intelligence of the earth itself.
Right, this is a crucial layer to the whole process. We aren't just floating in a void. We are anchored to a living planet. And the sources point out that some places on Earth are naturally highly potent, not because human beings built a temple there, but because they sit at intersections of energy that predate human civilization.
The authors mentioned ley lines, energy vortexes, ancient spring sources. But let's define that for a second. For someone listening who thinks ley line sounds like pure fantasy, what exactly are we talking about mechanically?
Sure, think of ley lines as telluric currents.
Telluric current.
Yes, these are measurable, low-frequency electrical currents that run underground, often through conductive mineral veins or underground rivers. An energy vortex is essentially a concentrated intersection of these electromagnetic fields.
Okay, I'm tracking.
When you prepare food in these specific places, or even if you use water sourced from a natural aquifer located on one of these grids, the unique electromagnetic signature of that location enters the preparation.
The phrase that really stuck with me from the source material was mineral memory.
Ah, yes.
It claims that natural springs carry mineral memory. But how does a rock have a memory?
It comes down to crystalline structures. Minerals and crystals are highly organized lattices of atoms. In the realm of physics and geology, we know that these structures can actually store information.
Oh, like a hard drive.
Exactly. Think about the silicon chips in the computer or phone you're using right now. They are basically just rocks that we have taught to remember things.
That is super wild to think about.
It really is. So in nature, as water flows through deep, ancient aquifers, it picks up trace minerals. Those minerals carry the geometric and vibrational history of the environment they've been in for thousands of years.
That blows my mind. So when you cook with that water, you are infusing the soup with thousands of years of geological stability.
Yes.
And it goes beyond rocks. The research also talks about the fungal internet, the mycelial networks underground that connect forests and allow plants to communicate. It says they make the human internet look primitive.
They really do. If we look at the biology, mycelium acts as a chemical communication network. When a tree is attacked by insects, it sends stress signals through the fungal network to warn other trees, which then start producing defensive chemicals.
Wow.
So when we harvest a mushroom or a root from that soil, we aren't just grabbing a vegetable, we are extracting a physical node of that incredibly complex, intelligent network.
It really is like the ultimate hyper-spiritual version of the farm-to-table concept.
Yeah.
Usually farm-to-table just means, I know the guy who grew this carrot and he didn't use pesticides. But this is saying instead of just tracing the physical origin of the carrot, you are actively tapping into the ancestral memory of the soil. When you eat that mushroom, you are downloading the chemical adaptations and the data from that massive fungal internet directly into your own biology.
Downloading is the perfect word. And when you cook with reverence for the land, you are actively inviting this deep, ancient intelligence to participate. So a truly powerful soup isn't an accident.
Right.
It isn't just about following a recipe perfectly. It is a convergence. You have the intention of the cook, the sacred technology of the vessel, and the ancient memory of the earth all meeting in one single moment.
Which raises an incredibly important question. We now have this profound convergence. We have the cook's intention, we have crystalline mineral memory, we have the fungal internet, all swirling together in a single, highly charged bowl of soup.
Yes.
So what actually happens when the rubber meets the road, or I guess the spoon meets the mouth? What happens when you consume all of that power?
Well, this is where we get to the core warning of the entire text, which is the concept of the container.
The container.
Yeah. Modern culture has a massive blind spot here. We all want the mystical experience. We want the benefits of high vibrational living, the clarity, the peace.
Sure, who wouldn't?
Exactly. But we don't want to do the integration work. We don't want the sobriety, the discipline, or the hard psychological labor that it demands.
We want the shortcut. We want to drink the magic potion without having to build a container to actually hold it. And the text is pretty blunt about the result. It says, power without a container is simply chaos.
This raises an important question. What happens to a person who encounters that chaos? This is a core teaching embedded in almost every esoteric tradition. You have to be ready to receive what you are invoking.
Right.
If you ingest a highly charged holy potion without having done the preparation, it can literally crack you open before you are emotionally ready to face what's inside.
But what does cracking open actually look like in real life? Are we talking about like a panic attack, a midlife crisis?
Both, and sometimes worse. Let's look at a concrete example. Imagine someone who has spent their whole life avoiding their emotions, entirely disconnected from their body, suddenly deciding to drink highly potent ceremonial cacao or even participate in an ayahuasca retreat. Right. They haven't done any therapy, they don't have a grounding practice, they just want a quick fix. They consume this massive delivery system for truth. The resulting crack open often looks like a severe psychological break.
That sounds terrifying.
It is. They might return home in a state of chaotic frenzy, abruptly end their marriage, quit their job with no backup plan, and alienate their friends. They mistake the sudden influx of chaotic truth for enlightenment, but because they lack the capacity to integrate the insight slowly, it just destroys their current life.
I want to go back to the electrical wiring metaphor we were building earlier because I think it perfectly explains this.
Okay.
Electricity is an incredible power. It lights up cities, it runs life-saving medical equipment.
Right.
But if you push a massive surge of high-voltage electricity through a wire that is way too thin or a circuit that isn't grounded, it doesn't power the house. It literally burns the house down.
Right.
The electricity didn't fail, the wiring failed.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, your psychological and emotional resilience, your self-awareness, your willingness to sit with uncomfortable truths, that is your wiring. That is your container.
I see.
The integration work you do, whether that's journaling, therapy, meditation, or just practicing daily honesty, that is you upgrading your emotional fuses so you don't blow a circuit when you finally encounter profound truth.
So, if you're going to ingest something that has the power to shift your energy fields seismically, you better make sure your wiring is up to code. And if you crack open and burn the house down, that is not a flaw in the potion.
No.
The potion isn't broken. It did exactly what it was designed to do.
Exactly. The real question is always, is the vessel ready? And the vessel in this case is you. Which is why I love that the authors bring this entire sweeping, mystical concept back down to earth by framing soup making itself as the ultimate grounding alchemy.
Yes, you're combining fire, water, and earth. It is this incredibly humble, completely domestic act. You don't need to be a shaman in the jungle. You are just standing in your kitchen in sweatpants. Yet it is magically profound. You are engaged in the transformation of raw, hard ingredients into something soft, nourishing, and sustaining.
It completely strips away the elitism that we so often attach to spirituality. You don't need to retreat to a cave in the Himalayas to engage in alchemy. You just need a pot, some water, fire, and absolute presence.
Yeah.
And doing this daily, chopping the vegetables, tending the fire, is exactly how you build that strong, resilient container we were just talking about.
So what does this all mean? For you, the listener, navigating your everyday life right now, I think it points to this beautiful, profound irony. The most powerful spiritual practice you can engage in today might not be meditating for 3 hours or reading a dense philosophical textbook. It might simply be standing at your stove, chopping an onion, and stirring a pot slowly with immense gratitude.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the authors are telling us that there is absolutely no contradiction between the sacred and the everyday. The quietest rituals are often the most potent. When you are standing at the stove, fully intentional, recognizing the mineral memory in the water and the chemical intelligence of the vegetables, the universe recognizes that as a ceremony. And when you eat the food you have prepared with that level of attention, you aren't just feeding your biological body. You are in deep communion with the intelligence that moved through you while you were cooking.
You are receiving your own transmission back, which is such a gorgeous way to frame it. You are feeding yourself your own love, your own focus, your own highest intention.
And that ultimately is the final answer to why holy potions are considered dangerous. Not because they are toxic, not because they are designed to harm you, but because they work.
They work.
They do exactly what they are meant to do. They transform, and transformation is always a little bit dangerous to the person you used to be.
It's the risk of the real. When you strip away the distractions and infuse your life with actual potent intention, things are going to change. Your internal landscape will rearrange itself. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought experiment, directly building on the profound questions raised by today's sources. We've explored how a holy potion, whether it's a shamanic brew or a humble bowl of homemade chicken soup, is a literal mirror of the intention, the earth, and the energy put into it.
So as you go about the rest of your week, try this. The next time you are standing in your kitchen, maybe you are chopping vegetables or just standing there waiting for a pot of water to boil. Pause for a second. Check your internal wiring. Ask yourself, if cooking is truly a literal transmission of your current state of mind, what exactly are you about to feed yourself? Are you ready to ingest your own energy,